Wow. What's going on, folks? It's the world's heavyweight champion here. And boy, let me tell you, WrestleMania was off the chain. I thought it was going to be terrible. I mean, the way they built it up in the weeks lead up to WrestleMania, I thought it wasn't going to be so great. I really thought it wasn't going to be great. But hey, I'm human. I could be wrong at times. So, I was wrong. It was the best WrestleMania of all time. Yeah. Now, I managed to write down a few, notes for those who didn't get the WWE Network, or those who couldn't stream it, or those who couldn't go to like a sports bar. Hold on. I don't think sports bars will show WrestleMania, would they? I don't know. Notes. It was the best one I've seen in a long time. But I've seen all 30 of them. Let's see. Hogan. He opened up WrestleMania. He was talking about the show. And lo and behold, Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Texas Rattlesnake, old bald head himself, old Chrome Dome himself, came out. The fans damn near jumped out of the seat when he came out. He went to the full post like he always do. He throwed up the salute. He shook Hogan's hand. He got the microphone. He started flapping the gums. He asked the crowd, if you want to see me whoop Hulk Hogan's ass, give me a hell yeah. The crowd said hell yeah, but he didn't do it. I thought he was going to do it, but I don't think Hogan could be taking bumps like that at his age and with his health he's had over the years. While he was talking, he was interrupted by yet another superstar in The Rock, the man, the great one, the people's champion, the most electrifying man in sports entertainment, the best damn WWF champion. Yes, I still call it WWF. He comes out. He goes to the post. He smells the air like he always do when he comes out. The crowd on their feet chanting, Rocky, Rocky, Rocky. It was a damn good. It was a damn good opening segment. He flaps the gums. He paying respect to Hogan. He paying respect to Stone Cold, and they all say their catchphrases. And then they share a little beer moment with each other. Yes, all three of them drunk some beer. Or Stone Cold called them Steve Weisers. And they left. I'm like, how can you top that? How could you top that? You couldn't top that at all. And boy, they topped it. Hogan. Before I forget, Hogan had he had some trouble pronouncing Superdome. He kept calling it the Silver Dome, which he had a flashback moment. The first WrestleMania was in the Pontiac Silverdome, so he kept calling the New Orleans Superdome the Silverdome. I'm like, dude, you're in New Orleans, not Michigan, man. Come on. It was funny. And then Rock made fun of him about that, but it was all in good humor though. After that they showed Hunter and the beef between Daniel and Hunter, Triple H. They showed everything that led up to the match at WrestleMania, starting from SummerSlam on. Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good promo. It was pretty good video. I guess it was pretty good. Then the match officially began. Hunter, you know how Triple H had to come out with his little grand entrances and stuff at WrestleMania. He came out on his throne. I guess it's like a king's throne with the Conan hammer and he had on this mask helmet like thing with his logo on his face and two girls, which they were identified as NXT women, two divas from NXT. He came out on that, and then they played the music, walked down the aisle. You know, he did his little thing in the ring. Daniel Bryan came out to some old Ride of the Val. I hate that theme song. I hate that theme. I really do hate that theme song. And the match was back and forth. It was a damn good match. I enjoyed it. I liked it. It was a back and forth match. Bryan had the upper hand at sometimes. Hunter had the upper hand at sometimes. And then he had it at most of the time. Boy, when I didn't think Daniel Bryan was going to win. I said it in my video I posted earlier that Daniel Bryan wasn't going to win. Man, you can call me a fool. Daniel Bryan beat him. He beat Triple H with a knee to the face. That running knee he always do. Beat him. Steph comes in the ring, slaps him like 6 times. Like she doing a doggone 100 hand slapper. She hit Daniel Bryan like she got 100 hand slap or something. And then he gets jumped from behind by Trips. And the massacre, they just beat Daniel Bryan literally to sleep. I thought he was dead. He couldn't move after that. Then, I get that match, based on a rating scale. If I had to give it a rating scale, I get a 9 out of 10. Only because Daniel Bryan's entrance was kind of lame. Only because, yeah, that's the only reason I give it a 9 out of 10, because Daniel Bryan's entrance was kind of lame. Other than that, it was a damn good match. Next on the docket, we had the Shield and the New Age Outlaws and Kane. That match was rushed. That was a quick match. The Shield won, but it was like they made short work of that team. Like, what was the reasoning behind that? Why? I mean, you have a build-up. You had a build-up for the past month to the match, only to rush it in WrestleMania. That wasn't too. I wasn't too happy with that, because that would have made for an epic matchup. All 6 guys in the ring. All 6 guys would have made for an epic matchup, but it was kind of rushed though. I don't know. I guess in the coming days they will explain why that match was rushed like it was. Based on a rating scale, if I had to rate it, I'd give it I'd go 5. Simply because, as I stated, it was rushed. I don't think that match took 3 minutes. It was rushed. After that match, the Battle Royal started. Everybody on Facebook was complaining about it was a clusterfuck. But they don't know, or those who do know and just too stupid to realize it again, that they was keeping the tradition of how Andre the Giant won the WrestleMania 1 Battle Royal like that. That's how he won the Battle Royal, with all 30 guys in the ring at the same time. Which I said in my video I posted earlier that they was gonna do that, and it was only befitting that they did it like that. Otherwise, if you had it like a Royal Rumble type match, it wouldn't have worked. Cause one, it would have drug out the match, and 2, people were expecting like surprise returns and all that. That wasn't gonna be there wasn't gonna be no surprises, no returns. No, nothing. It was just 30 minutes in the ring. All 29 got thrown out. The biggest surprise of that match, everybody picked Big Show to win, which I admit he was my pick to win. I admit that he was my pick to win, but I also went with Big E too, just in case Show didn't win. Cesaro won the Battle Royal. And he did it in epic fashion. He picked the Big Show up. Yes, picked him up like Hogan did Andre the Giant. Picked him up and ran and threw him over the top rope. And I'm like, what the world? I was in this boy like he didn't do it. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. He picked him up. I mean, with relative ease too. He didn't struggle. He didn't throw out his back or nothing. He picked him up and throwed him over the top rope. Show got up. I thought it was gonna be some animosity between the two, but no. Show, as a sign of respect, he shook Cesaro's hand and walked off. Now, my thing is, why didn't they book Big Show to win? Is it because Show's retiring or his contract is expiring and they didn't want to give him the cup? Or they wanted to go with someone younger? I guess we'll find out in the coming weeks why they did that. Match rating 8 out of 10. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Because of the fact that, there's really no reason. It's just an 8 out of 10. I mean, it wasn't that great of a match to begin with. Oh, another surprise in that match was Kofi Kingston. Oh my God, this dude here, he got thrown over the top rope. Everybody thought he was eliminated from the match, but his feet he somehow positioned his feet to hit the ring steps, and his backside fell on the floor. I'm looking like, dude, you could have broke your ankles doing some shit like you could have broke your ankles doing some mess like that, man. But he wasn't eliminated. His feet never touched the floor. Because remember, the rules of a Royal Rumble or Battle Royal, your feet had to touch the ground. And his feet never touched the ground as they hit the steps. So he was allowed back into the matchup. Only to get thrown out a few minutes later, so it didn't really matter. Then they showed a promo of Bray Wyatt, John Cena. They showed everything that led up to the match at WrestleMania. All the weeks, all the events, the messages that led up to WrestleMania. And that was a pretty good match. I expected Cena to bury Bray Wyatt. I expected him to bury Bray Wyatt, but Cena really couldn't get no offense going. He really couldn't get no offense going until like halfway through the match. But you know, John Cena, he always get his offense going halfway through the match. But from the start until like towards the end, he really couldn't get no offense going. I mean, he was doing a little punch here and there to get Bray off of him, but it wasn't really, John Cena like. It's a pretty good match, though. I had to give it credit. But as we all know, John Cena won. And though he didn't bury the man like I thought he would, it was a pretty good match. I enjoyed it. It was a damn good battle. Rating, 8 out of 10. Because Bray kept trying to he tried to get John Cena to go to that place, that dark side. So he goes outside of the ring. He gets a chair. Goes into the ring. I'm thinking he finna bash John Cena with this chair. No, this fool kicks the chair to John Cena. Cena picks up the chair. Bray's on his hands and knees like, come on, finish me. Cena doggone got the chair like he finna go Barry Bonds on him. He got the ref in his ear. He got Bray in his face. The referee, if you can hear the referee was going, no, John, this is... Sorry about that. He was like, no, John, this isn't you. This is not you. This is not how you do things. So John put the chair down and the match went from there and Cena won. They introduced the Hall of Fame class. For those who didn't watch the Hall of Fame Saturday night, they reintroduced the Hall of Fame. There was nothing special about that. They just introduced them all. They had a backstage moment with Hogan, Mr. T, Paul Orndorff, and Roddy Piper. Mean G was interviewing Hogan, and Mr. Wonderful, he comes in with Roddy Piper, and Wonderful, he he was talking about the match at WrestleMania 1, that the match that pretty much made WrestleMania what it is today. And he was like, yeah, you know, Hogan, all they talk about is the match that I lost to you in at WrestleMania 1. And for 30 years, it's been eating at me. And then they was about to cut the blows until Mr. T came, Hogan's tag team partner from WrestleMania 1, for those who weren't alive then. Or those who don't have WWE Network so they can go watch the match. They all shook hands and walked away. It was a pretty good segment, though. I like that segment because I'm a fan of Piper, Hogan, and Paul Orndorff. I like all three of them. Then after the Hall of Fame class was introduced, they showed the promo between Brock Lesnar and Undertaker. Now this is gonna take up a lot of time, yeah, because they showed the promo of how that match was transpired. I said in my earlier video that Brock was booked bad. Like he wasn't, like it was like they wasn't even gonna let him win. Like he ain't gonna win that match. It was crazy, man. Like, why are you booking him to look weak? The only time he actually did look strong was the Monday before WrestleMania when he F5 Undertaker. I don't think Taker could have. Then Lesnar comes out with Paul Heyman, of course. Hold on, I'm watching ESPN. Goddamn, Roy Hibbert might not be on the team next year. Dummy. Lesnar comes out. He was flanked by Paul Heyman. They got in the ring. They waited till Taker came out. They showed this long ass video. You know how Taker does it at WrestleMania. They showed this long video of Taker, all the people he's put down at WrestleMania, blending in with some cool effects and stuff. You have to watch it to believe it. Then the bell rings. He comes out. He had the hat on this time. I thought he had on that shredder jacket, as I call it, that shredder jacket. He came out with the traditional hat on. He had the coat on. He came out. Then he stopped at the rampway. He looked back at one of the caskets. I guess it was going to be filled for Brock. The casket set on fire. I'm like, oh my God. Taker always go out for WrestleMania. Then he walked some more. Then he stopped again, looked back at the casket. It was still on fire. So he walks down the rampway. Mind you, the rampway for WrestleMania has always been extra long, so it took a while for Taker to get down there to the ring. I was playing Gears of War 3 while the match was while he was walking to the ring. I was playing Gears of War 3 last night at the same time. I'm like, dude, is you ever gonna get to the ring? Lesnar was so focused. He wasn't intimidated. He wasn't scared. He wasn't shook. Paul Heyman wasn't shook, but then again, he was hiding behind Brock, so you really couldn't tell. Taker gets in the ring. Lights come on. He got the hat he always wore. It had like some cowboy inspired decorations on it, some bolo type stuff, whatever the Cowboys be wearing. His jacket was the same way. It was pretty tight though. I wear it. Got in the ring, bell run. Both of them came to blows. It was a back and forth, knockdown, drag out fight. Boy, Lesnar got the upper hand. Taker gets the upper hand. Lesnar gets the upper. Boy, I was in this more like I'm actually shadow boxing with him or something. I was in more like get him, Taker, get him. I was in that more shadow boxing, boy. Then something happened during the match. That Taker kind of, lost focus or something. Taker lost focus. No, Paul Heyman did not, in any shape or fashion, get involved in the match. It was the first for me. He did not get involved in this match. So those of you want, but Taker lost focus. Like the lights are on, but no one was home type moment. Yeah, he had one of those type of moments. And Taker hit the tombstone, thought it was over. Lesnar kicks out. Lesnar gets up, hits the F5, 1, 2, 3. If you would have saw the crowd that night when Lesnar hand raised, because I had to pause the game just to watch it. I'm sitting here like, oh my God. I was in this mug like, oh, I mean, I already knew the outcome of the match anyway. I already knew the outcome because they kind of spoiled it before the show started. Or did they? uh, everybody who was in the crowd was stunned. I mean, they were shocked. It was like the death of Michael Jackson or something. You would have thought doggone Tupac came back alive. Everybody was so shocked. You would have thought Michael Jackson came back from the dead. They were so shocked, man. The faces, the jaw, man. Everybody in that mother was like, but man. And then after Brock left and Heyman left, Taker he tried to get up, but he couldn't really get up. But he got up, and everybody in the arena, everybody gave him a stand. Even the announcers, they all every 70-some thousand people in that arena gave him a standing ovation. And they were chanting, "Thank you, Taker. Thank you, Taker. Thank you, Taker." Because there's been rumor now that this could be his last WrestleMania, his last match. Period. We still can't confirm that yet, so we'll just have to see. But they were saying, "Thank you, Taker. Thank you, Taker." Everybody in that arena stood up and gave him a standing ovation. Even me sitting here in my house, I was clapping for him because I've been watching him for 20+ years. So I had to clap for him. He's been my favorite wrestler for ever since pre-Raw. Probably I would say 89. Since 1989. I've been watching him for that long. So I had to give him a standing ovation. I stood up out of my chair I was sitting in and gave him a standing ovation. It was well deserved. Man's a Hall of Famer. If you don't, man's a Hall of Famer. You had to give him his respect. Then he kept walking towards he walked up the rampway. His music played. The lights got dark. The smoke came out, and that was it for him. But like I said, there's rumors circulating that this could be his last match. Turns out the reason why it took him so long to get up off the mat was because he had a concussion. Yeah, he got injured in that match, and he had to go to the hospital for observation. And the funny thing about it is, the guy that beat him went with him. Lesnar and Heyman went with him to go to the hospital. So you gotta respect Brock for doing that. And if you would have seen the Facebook page, the Wrestling Forum sites on Facebook, if you got a Facebook account, that is, everybody was pissed that Brock Lesnar beat him. Nobody wanted to see the streak end. But my thing is, he's 49 years old. He's been banged up for years now. And it had to end someday. Me personally, I never thought it would end last night, but it ended. And to all people, Brock Lesnar. But another report circulated out there that the man himself, Undertaker himself, he chose Brock Lesnar. He always wanted either Kurt Angle or Lesnar to end the streak. I don't know why those two. I'm not with Undertaker. I wish I was. I'd have asked him. I don't know why he picked those two, But he those are the men he picked. I have to respect his choice. All McMahon did was gave it the okay. But there was a theory circulating on Facebook also was saying that Taker was booked to win the match, but something went wrong during the match, and he flipped the script and just had Brock beat him. Now, we all know that Taker has more stroke in that company than John Cena himself. So he can pick his opponents for WrestleMania. Now, say the first 9 opponents were picked for him, but everybody after that, he picked them himself. He can tell Vince who should win, how it should go. He controls his character more than Vince McMahon does. But Vince, we all know Vince does have the final say so though. So whatever. So if Taker says, I want to wrestle John Cena at WrestleMania, or I want to wrestle Randy Orton at WrestleMania, and I want Randy Orton to beat me, Vince and him will sit down and talk about it, and he'll give the okay. So everybody was pissed that Brock won, but you got to look at it like this: Undertaker picked Brock to win, not WWE, not McMahon, not Trips. It all came from Taker himself. So if you want to get mad at somebody for beating Undertaker streak, get mad at Undertaker himself for picking that man to win. Everybody was like, "Oh, a part-timer shouldn't have won, shouldn't have beat the streak," and they're right. They're right. They're right. A part-timer should not have beaten that streak. That's like a part-timer should not have won the world's heavyweight title, the WWE Championship last year. The Rock, he shouldn't have won the championship. But what can you do? But I did agree with him on that fact. But I disagree with that WWE has something to do with it. They're all blaming WWE when you should be blaming Undertaker for picking Brock to win. Now, after that match with the Divas match, I'm like, you go from one of the best matches of the night, besides Daniel Bryan and Triple H's match, to a Divas Battle Royal. I'm like, really? Really? You could have had that match first. That match could have been first. Because who actually watched the Divas unless you're a fan of a few of them? And yes, AJ won again. AJ won again, but they kind of leaked that out that she was going to keep the title anyway, so it wasn't a surprise to me that she won it. It was already leaked. That's why you got to follow your wrestling news for you so-called wrestling fans. You got to follow your backstage news. So you won't be looking so surprised when something goes down. She won with her little finishing move, the Black Widow, whatever the hell you call it, move. And my thing is, all of the divas that were in the match was laid outside of the ring. Like, none of them bothered to get up and break the damn hold up. And that damn referee, the referee, man, he had a damn good view of AJ's underwear and shit. I know he was looking. Come on, ref, you can't tell me that you weren't looking. He was looking. But AJ took the championship home and blah, blah, blah. Then they showed, then the final match of the night, the main event was Batista, Orton, and Daniel Bryan. Me personally, I think that should have been the second to the last match with Taker and Brock being last. You know, out of all the WrestleMania Taker's been in, he's on the main event at WrestleMania once. Just thought. But Orton came out to a group called Rev Theory. I don't know who they are. I'm black, as you can see. I'm a black man. I don't really get down with Rev. I don't follow Rev Theory. But if they're good, I'll listen to them. You know, I'll listen to them. He came out. He came out with the titles. I always thought it was more than one guy singing that theme song. Turns out it was just the one guy singing. Yeah, kind of interesting. He acknowledged their presence. They acknowledged his presence. Walked down the ring. He held the titles up like he finna just come out the champion and shit. And then Batista came out. I'll talk about him after this. Batista came out. The crowd wasn't too thrilled about Batista coming out. They had a couple of signs that said Batista and some other signs that I care not to mention. And then Daniel Bryan came out, broke arm and all, messed up shoulder and all, because he was injured weeks before going into the match. Then Hunter and Stephanie, it didn't help that Triple H got to beat that man's arm into the ground. So he went out there. I mean, he gave it a valiant effort. It was a valiant effort. Now, what turned the tides of that match, because it was a pretty decent match. Both of them was focused on Daniel. And then Hunter and Steph came out of the order. They came out of nowhere. And they attacked Daniel Bryan. I mean, and then it turned into a 2-on-1 handicap match as Batista and Orton. They tag teamed Daniel Bryan. I mean, they dominated. Man, Daniel was dominated. It got so bad they had to call the doctors out there to take him into the stretch to put him on the stretcher. And Daniel Bryan like, no, get this off me, and crawled back to the ring. He crawled back to the ring, and it finished from there with Daniel Bryan holding the championship trophy belts. I didn't want that clown to win the championship. See, there's a fine line between being a fan of somebody and dick riding. And all the fans now are dick riding Daniel Bryan. I had faith in Daniel Bryan when he choked out Michael Cole with his own tie. When he captured his first United States championship, that's when I saw faith in Daniel Bryan. Now it's like everybody's just dick riding the dude. Which is like I said, there's a fine line between being a fan and dick riding. No, Sting did not show up. For those who were expecting, he did not show up. There was no CM Punk sighting. Although rumors were stating that he was at the Hall of Fame ceremony, which I can't confirm or deny that. So I'll just leave that to speculation. There was no Sting. There was no surprise returns. No nothing. The only shock you should have got was Taker losing to Brock. That's the only shock you should have got. Now, back to Batista. I said I was going to talk about Batista. Batista got the raw end of the deal. There was an interview he did about a week ago. The Raw they did in Washington, D.C. He did an interview and said that he wanted to come back as a heel, but McMahon, he insisted that he come back as a face. Now, that's not why he's getting booed. He got booed because people now see the potential that I saw earlier when he won his first U.S. championship in Daniel Bryan, that anybody came out of that curtain that wasn't Daniel Bryan was going to get booed, which is why Batista is getting booed. You can also look to the fact that he came back and won the Royal Rumble. I mean, you didn't give him no kind of build up to the Rumble. If he would have got like some build up to the Royal Rumble, like wrestled some weeks before the Royal Rumble, people might have accepted that. I doubt it, but people might have accepted that. But he just came flat out, beat Roman Reigns in the Royal Rumble, won the Royal Rumble, and went to WrestleMania. That's why he's getting booed. That's why he's getting the jeers, the Batista, and all that other bull jive. Now, he said it himself. He don't care if you boo him, you cheer him. He's just out there to put on a good show for you, the fans, the WWE universe. Why I want to call it WWF is beyond me. The Ultimate Warrior called it WWF at the Hall of Fame induction. He said he called it the WWF. But if you watch his whole speech at the Hall of Fame ceremony, his whole speech was a pipe bomb. But that's my opinion on why Batista's getting booed. Some people may have other opinions. I'll be glad to hear them. And Daniel Bryan finally came out the champion. He didn't get screwed. He didn't get pedigreed or jumped or bashed up like he did when he won at SummerSlam. So now Daniel Bryan is your new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Face of the franchise, that's still John Cena. Now, there's a rumor, that's all I can speculate it as, there's a rumor that the icon Sting, the man called Sting, has signed with WWE and is supposed to appear later on Raw tonight. Whether he does or not, I won't be here since I have school tonight and it runs into my wrestling, so I had to catch whatever's left on Raw. If he comes, what role are they gonna have? It was speculated, yes, me and these speculations. It was speculated that he was gonna come back as the voice of the voiceless. CM Punk's role, yeah, I know. He was gonna come back to challenge the authority. Like he's gonna be the GM of Raw, so he could challenge the authority and give people like Daniel Bryan a shot at the championship or a fair shot at the championship, because we all know Daniel Bryan won't get no fair shot at the championship. So that was one of Sting's rumored roles. Another role was that he's gonna come back and wrestle Undertaker at WrestleMania 31 next year, engaging by the Undertaker's reactions, his facial expressions. That may not happen. And me personally, I don't think it should happen anyway. That's a match that should happen 10 years ago. That should happen like 10 years ago when Taker was still a full-time wrestler. When Taker was still full-time and Sting made the jump to TNA, that's when that match should have took place. Now, I don't think it should. But if it does, it'll make for an epic battle because you got two of the all-time greats in one ring together. Magic could happen. But I think that's a match that should have took place a decade ago when Taker was still a full-time wrestler. But we'll never know, won't we? If you got any comments, ideas if you got any theories about WrestleMania, feel free to comment. I answer every comment. Stupid or not, I answer every comment. And this is the World Heavyweight Champion, signing off.